Hello, this is the first of what I hope to be many videos based on our fancy football mini league called Overpaid Over the Bar, which has been going since roughly 2008. I think I'm not sure exactly, maybe even six. I'm not really sure. And it's become more interesting in the last year or two because I started a WhatsApp group which several people have joined, and it's increased engagement in the league. And I've started also doing voice notes every week as a kind of roundup and look forward to the next week. And they've been going down quite well with Craig, at least. I don't know about so some other people as well. Um, so now, we want to be doing, what I'm going to try and do in the next few weeks is, I don't know how this is going to pan out long term, by the way. I'll just see how it goes. But first of all, I want to get to know various players in the league, or for everyone to get to know various players in the league that are connected to me but may not be connected to you. And we're going to start today with Jon Holloway. Jon, um, well, hello, Jon. Welcome.
Oh, hi, Anne. Good to see you, and hello, everybody.
So when did our paths first cross?
Let's have a think. When I moved to Brazil in 1999, 2000, we worked together in Rio, 2 or 3 years, I suppose, and played football together, worked together, went out, did a lot. Then we both left Rio. Actually, I think you went to South Africa at that point. I can't remember.
Barcelona.
Oh, you went to Barcelona. That's right. You did the big Barcelona transfer. I ended up in Porto Alegre with Grêmio, and well, now I live in Florianopolis, which is a city also in the south of Brazil. But I am an avid fantasy football player, although I do threaten to quit every year. I say
Every
this is my last
season.
every season. Been through thick and thin. I wouldn't say with the originals, but I guess we've been doing it for about 15, 18 seasons or something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
mean, you and me, the only two who remember how the mini league has changed over
Hmm.
that time. No one else in the mini
It was
league.
just us two, wasn't it? It
No, I
was like a head.
mean, well, I mean, it was your friend Johnny Horth who was the
Right.
absolute. I actually hope to interview him at some stage, but anyway, just for the memories. But he was the absolute goat of the mini league. I mean, nobody can ever touch that.
Yeah.
But but yeah, um, so you've been in Brazil since '99.
That's right. Half my life. I'm about to be 50, and I came when I was 25. Original plan was to stay for 6 months, maybe a year. Blah blah blah. Life happens whilst you're busy making other plans.
I mean,
And
I've got to say at this point, we work in the industry of English teaching, EFL as we call it, English as a foreign language,
mm,
and very few people that I've worked with or have made a real success of their career like you have. I mean, to have actually turned it into a business that supports a family in a way that isn't like some of the business people I've worked for in the industry, quite nasty and exploitative.
right.
Is quite an achievement.
Yeah, I work with a lot of those people too, and you can learn quite a lot. I decided I didn't. If I was to ever be in a position of authority, or if I ever had a voice, I would do the opposite to everything that I'd ever learned or experienced. So
And I've
I got
worked for
a
you, so I can vouch for that.
yeah, we're okay, and uh, uh, not many complaints, I think, from office in the south. But since COVID, was a kind of a weird blessing in disguise. We had to go online, shifted the school onto
Yeah.
online, so all class now online, and now that means that our students are all over, not just this city. So
Right.
yeah, I guess it was I wouldn't say it was. It was a lucky break. It wasn't planned.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I do enjoy it, but I do enjoy it, and I'm a big football fan too in Brazil. I watch a lot of football here. My local team is Avaí. If anybody's interested in second division South American football, I
well,
take
I
my
mean,
little
they went up. They spent a year in
yeah,
the first division last season,
yeah.
was it?
They'll connect me nicely to Southampton now, my true love, and they're too good for the second division, not good enough for the top flight, and they just live in this kind of
Exactly the
yo-yo.
same as Saints.
Yeah, it's just like Saints, but in Pompey colours. That's how I would describe it. It's like watching Pompey and Saints at the same time. Yeah. Pretty
Okay.
miserable.
And the people on the group chat have seen your video that got broadcasted on television in Brazil.
Oh, yeah, I'm that. Yeah, I use it as a venting platform. Avaí is one of the few 2 hours of enjoyment I have a
It's
month.
good to be famous for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't get a lot of things. Like you, are you the bloke with the chair? Sort of thing. At the end of the game, weirdly, at the end of Avaí games when they win, a group has just started. I don't know why. It has no ethical or it's got no historical connection to the club. We just started playing Boney M, Rivers of Babylon. I have no idea why. At the back of a car speaker, it starts off with a few of
Since it
us.
was broadcast, has that kind of widened that use of that song?
Last Tuesday, it was about 300 people there, and didn't know what to make of it. It was very weird, but it often happens in football, doesn't it?
You know, you had 300 people after the game with the music.
Yeah, around the car.
So, oh god, you're gonna have a problem with the police soon. You do not want a problem with the Brazilian police.
Yeah, I wanted to have Daddy Cool, but Rivers of Babylon came on, and now it's become the club fan song. Who knows why?
Okay, and watching the Premier League there, is that easy?
Yeah, very easy here, much easier than the UK. We have something called Star Plus, which is connected to kind of ESPN. All games are shown, so they show every single Premier League game, and they keep them also in their library for about 3 or 4 months, so you can go back and watch them. So I have a tendency to watch the morning game, and then I watch one of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Then I watch it's about 5:30 kickoff UK time, I suppose. And then in the evening, I watch a couple of the 3 p.m. games that I missed. Same again on Sunday. It's a road to divorce, but you know, it's fine. I also have a little girl. She's 11, and Raf sits and watches most of the games with me. It's quite interesting to see a young person start their journey into football. One of the reasons I take her to Avaí also is that she doesn't follow one of the big clubs in Brazil, which is Corinthians or Flamengo. I want her to see.
Well, she must be a follower of Atlético Mineiro, surely, or not?
Yeah, I don't want her to do that because it's so far. It's 1,500 miles away.
But she's there some parts of the year. Sorry for the people at home. Her family is from Minas Gerais, from Belo Horizonte, which is. But she must support them as well, surely. I would imagine, no?
Well, when we go at Christmas, it's the season break. The season finishes in November in Brazil. So when we go there at Christmas, there's no games on. It starts again in February, March. So she never really sees them
when they're on. Okay, yeah.
It's too. It'll be like living in Devon and supporting.
And she follows the women's game as well. The England team.
The Lions. So she follows the Brazilian male team. The men's side is her national team, and then the England women's team is her. So she follows one for her mum and one for her dad.
That's nice.
And she's done okay out of it. She's done better out of it internationally than domestically.
Yeah, I was going to say that may have been a strategic choice actually, but yeah.
Yeah, she looked at it and thought, I'll go for them. But I take her to those games because in connection with my own upbringing, I'm a Hampshire boy. For my sins, and I had to get that in.
Yeah,
and I just thought that I didn't have, not very much success as a Southampton fan in my lifetime, but also I think it's important for her to realise that it's the sort of taking part that counts, and you can't always support these Manchester Cities and Bayern Munichs and just going with your dad.
And she finds Manchester City boring when she watches them anyway.
She does, yeah, that's true too. She kind of watches Premier League football as a neutral, and it's interesting the selection of games that I say, it's City versus, I don't know, I'll say it's City versus Spurs at 3 o'clock. And then she'll say, well, yeah, but there's also Crystal Palace versus Villa. I'd rather that.
Yeah.
I think, that's good. She just watched it as a clean slate. She says, I like Villa or I like Palace. You think,
that's good. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, they have, I mean, it was interesting that in that game against Arsenal, that their players are so conditioned not to take anyone on.
Yeah.
I mean, Doku's kind of the only player that's allowed to dribble in that team. And they didn't, when they had to, against 10 men, start trying to take the ball past defenders. They were just passing it all the time.
I mean, Grealish actually does decide to make a 10-meter run. the equaliser comes.
Yeah.
But it's sideways. Yeah, I don't know what you want to say about that game. As a fantasy football slant, I thought it was quite heartening. I'm not a Gabriel owner, but seeing him score again was very interesting.
Do you think that every time Arsenal have a corner now, there's going to be 3 players on him?
Yeah, I do. But he's been doing it for a couple of seasons now.
True.
It's very difficult to mark him. And of course, he makes that run in. He runs. He doesn't just stand there. He's running from the edge of the box, and he's moving fast. So
I think Saka is able to put it exactly in one place as well, and I think not many corner takers are able to do that. So they know which one it's going to be next. So he's running to a different place every time, kind of thing.
Sure. Also interesting when you see Arsenal corners, they all go to the back post and then sort of run in towards the goal. That's quite an interesting thing they do. But I quite enjoy Arsenal. Yeah, if they could just stop kicking the ball away, they'd be a great team to follow.
I mean, I like all the teams at the top except Manchester City.
Right.
I've even started to enjoy Chelsea now.
Right.
Which historically, I've always had an aversion against for various reasons. But at the minute, I actually quite like them right now. I mean, obviously, there are certain players in the Premier League that I don't like, and now Enzo Fernandez has joined them. But I like watching Jackson. I like watching Palmer and who's the other? Oh, Madueke, I love. So
Kunku's got a hat trick as well this week.
Yeah, it would be lovely to see him starting. But no, I really enjoy watching the Premier League now. And I know people always say football's not as good as it used to be, etc. I don't follow a Premier League team. I never have. So for me, I mean, I have when I was a kid, until I was 18. But for me, I'm a complete neutral. For me, watching the Premier League now is way more enjoyable than it was 10 years ago, miles more enjoyable than it was 20 years ago. Because for me, we weren't playing quality football then. We weren't actually keeping the ball. That's why Mourinho came in and just said, okay, you just smother the other team. Eventually they'll give you the ball, you go upfield and score. He just came in and said, that's easy. And then every team started to press like Chelsea did after that. And now the pressing, that from Klopp and whatever has become so intense. Occasionally it is a little bit like too much to watch a game. But at the same time, the quality you have to have in midfield now to play football, you have to be so good with your feet.
Ball players now. It's not just hoofing it up doing
anything. Yeah.
All right. It's a bit of a strange world we live in where I actually prefer Manchester United to Manchester City after a lifetime of kind of loathing United. Now they're kind of like the good guys of Manchester for me. I can't believe that's happening.
They are just so like nothing now, though, aren't they? They're just, you watch them and there's no character. You watch the team, they have no character. Like all the other teams have a kind of identity, and you watch them.
Well, they have a very strong identity. It's just it's characterless, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. But
sideways.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Anyway, let's talk about the game week that's come. Now you've already played your wild card, but you've actually made some progress since then. So let me see if I
played my wild. I guess this is wild card week for most players.
I mean, if you go on the content, if you go on YouTube or the YouTube presenters, it's almost like if everyone's playing their wild card. It's like 80% of people are playing their wild card. But in our mini league, you and Craig, for example, have already played. I don't think anybody else in the top 10 has, but I'm not quite sure. Let's just have a look at your. So I'm going to see if I can share this now. Have a look at your squad. Tell us about your squad at the moment.
Well, I played a wild card, I think, in game week 3. I needed to have a little bit of a shuffle round. And I I'm playing quite a strange odd system this year where I'm having no doubled up players. So I've got 15 different players from 15 different clubs. Don't ask why. I'm also going for no hits. I thought I'd try and go pure. Not the best idea. I'd love to have a doubled up Liverpool defence and an Arsenal defence possibly, but can't do that. I decided that I would get two big hitters. So I've got Salah and Haaland, which I think is wrong. I think just by one of them would be enough. I think I'm going to captain Haaland every week anyway, probably. So do I need Salah? That seems like 12.5, whatever it is, down the drain, where probably Luis Diaz looks better value. You can save yourself 5 million and spread that money around, defence. I don't have more than a 4.5 million defender. Raya is the only kind of money spent in defence. Then I've gone for something I quite like at the moment. I've got Palmer and Salah and Haaland, and then I've decided to kind of rotate the other 4 or 5. So I've got Rodgers, Smith Rowe, Barnes, and João Pedro up front. Solanke would always play. And by the way, I'm the only owner of Solanke in.
Yeah, you're not anymore, mate.
Well, sorry, that's as far as I was aware. I was.
Yeah.
Well, last week I was. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you are. You are. I'm just getting cheeky. I actually accidentally shared my wildcard draft just now, which has Solanke in it.
Okay. But it's still a draft, though. It's still a draft.
This is a really good team actually, because to have Haaland, Salah, and Palmer it's really difficult to build the rest of the team, and you've done a really good job with that, including Raya in goal.
Yeah, I got Raya in goal. Then I've also what I do then.
Defense is weak though.
It is, but I'm going to solve that.
You got Collins, Mazraoui.
Yeah, I've got Collins, Mazraoui. I've got a Bournemouth defender, Nico Williams. We'll see about him, but I'll come to that later. The thing is, I'm rotating Rodgers, Smith Rowe, Barnes, and João Pedro. So one of them I have to sit on the bench each week, but the other 3 seem like pretty good value for money picks. I'm happy with those 4. And then, of course, Palmer, Salah, Solanke, and Haaland will just always be there, I think. So really, I've got to sort out the defense. But like last weekend, I had good midfield points, poor defensive points. But, that's kind of it all, can you, at this point? Also, I'm one of those players that sort of goes for value. So I often make early transfers in the game week, especially this first sort of 6 game weeks, because there are price changes. And I think a couple of million here can make a difference when we get
last year value made no difference whatsoever. You could still afford anyone you wanted, but this year it could make quite a big difference.
But we'll see. But if I'm going to play this game where I have a very, very thin defense, then I'm going to have to get as much value as I possibly can. So that's why, for example, I had Son and
you went from Son to Palmer this week.
Yeah, I went from Son to Palmer. So because I took out, I don't know if I had Nicholas Jackson on the other one. Was it Ndweki, the Chelsea player? Can't remember. Because I put Solanke in, I had to take Son out because I can't have 2 Spurs players. So I went for Solanke and Palmer over.
Yeah, that you're doing a strict policy of 1 player per team. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I've got 15 players, 15 different clubs.
Why?
I don't know. I just saw some things about like the purest versions of the game. There's like, for example, draft versions where people, one of us goes Haaland. Somebody said no hits was a good version. Like can't play any hits. Somebody else said 1 from each club, so no doubled up players.
But then you're the only person doing this, so aren't you going to get disadvantaged when?
Well, I don't think I'll win it anyway, and I find the challenge kind of a bit more interesting. It makes me think a little bit more about that instead of just having
perfectly capable of winning it. But okay,
I've never won it, by the way. In 20
you've come second on plenty of times. Unluckily, second.
But I don't. The problem is, I think I probably do very well considering the amount of hours I put into it, which is not many. I don't listen to content anymore.
Yeah.
I don't read anything anymore. I just go from what's it called? Just from the eye, really, just from the games that I watch. And I like players that I like. I know you do that too. I pick players I enjoy watching.
Yeah, no, I do that. Sometimes that is when I'm looking at a team and I'm thinking, I'm not sure. That's my like, do I really love this player or not? That's my
Yeah.
thing where I go because I sometimes I think, well, yeah, I'm going to get more pleasure from that player if they score points. Not very objective, but I like
No,
I like also thinking that I'm ahead of the game in terms of potential, which sometimes I am and sometimes I'm horribly not. But
that. But I like that front eight, Jean Pedro Solanke and Haaland up front. I like those three.
by
And I
the
like that
way, João Pedro, there's this thing going around this week.
more like a bug.
No, yeah, no, he was seen leaving the Amex on Sunday on crutches, according to one Brighton fan on Twitter. But since then, he did an Instagram with him playing FIFA at home, and there's some crutches behind the. So either he's winding
Ooh.
everyone up, or he's literally on crutches this week.
Yeah, maybe. Not my problem. He's on the bench.
Okay.
So they've got a tough fixture. I think I can't remember. I have to go to my fixtures there. Yeah. Brighton seemed a bit hit and miss to me. They've got this sort of wealth of midfielders, and I can never seem to pick the right one. So
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
have
No,
to
I
go
don't
for
think I
either
don't think
João
any of the
Pedro
Brighton
or
mids are
Welbeck.
their good fixtures have gone anyway. So
Right. And they're just so frustrating as midfield. You go for one, it's the other one who appears.
it's teams coming up with good fixtures are Brentford and Arsenal in particular.
Everton, I think I heard. Is
Spurs are okay.
that right?
Everton's are very good as well. Yeah, yeah.
Let's have a little look at that. Everton have got good ones. Okay.
I mean, if they
Yeah.
if they have a good fixture against anyone anymore, but yeah,
Okay. Yeah. True. I did also see that the bottom six. They played 5 games each. That's 30 games in total. No victories so far. Not one single win in 30 games from the bottom 6, which means that they could get cut adrift.
okay, okay,
Mm.
all right.
So
So I'm going to stop sharing that, and then I'm going to show you because I'm wildcarding this week.
okay, let's have a look at your wild card then.
So I'm going to show you. Yeah, I'm dying to show you my wildcard draft. So this is not done yet.
No, this is what you're thinking.
This is what I'm thinking of doing. Half of it's done, by the way. I've done the ones that I transferred out Salah too early. He went up in price. Oh, went up in price, and I could have gained a 0.1 on him, and I transferred him out. Basic error.
It's like, Wilson, have you done your homework? I've done half of it, sir. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, but this is what I intend to end up with. Now you'll notice
Salah's going up, but we want him out. That's what I can't work out.
Yeah, so you'll notice there's 2 players missing from this that everyone else will have.
Okay. Right, so there's a distinct lack of City there. Let's have a look. Jackson, Solanke, Watkins up front, fine. Bomo, Palmer, Tyler Dibbling, Emil Smith Rowe, Saka, Gabriel and White from Arsenal, Kalenko, Greaves, Alexander Arnold, Flecken, and Fabianski. So, who do you think are the main 2 that you don't have there then, Ant?
Well, they're going to kill me, obviously. I mean, one of them is at least. And I don't know. I just can't resist the temptation to do this just because nobody else will have these players in our mini league. Nobody else is going to have this combination.
Right.
So having won it last season, I'm like, fuck it, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's go for something. I can't be crying every time Haaland scores. I can't be getting upset about it. Just stick with these, whatever. Don't make transfers for 4 weeks and then have another wild card. Right? Because I've already got one.
Did you win it last season?
I won it last season.
I thought it was the triple champ we were playing. Is
No,
that not
he won his college league last season, which made him the triple champ of his college.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So he's not really the champ.
He is, just not in the league that matters.
Oh, fine. Well, then I'm 12 times champ in my individual league, so I'll put that on next to them. Right. Okay, so there's a little look. So you've gone for double. You doubled up on your Arsenal defence. You doubled up on a Chelsea kind of attack. And Bomb, I think, is a great pick. Ollie Watkins. What's that about?
Well, he's back. He's playing Ipswich. Got decent fixtures.
Okay.
He scored last two games.
So
Yeah.
you're looking at Tyler Dibby as your sub of your attacking eight,
Yeah,
I
he'll be
suppose.
on the bench. Greaves will be on the bench, and
Yeah.
Mikolenko will be on the bench. I mean, I have 1.8 in the bank. It doesn't have to be Mikolenko. It could be somebody much better.
Fine.
But I haven't. This is not my final version, and I don't know if it'll end up exactly like this. I still haven't sold Haaland. I may
Okay.
bottle it in the end, but I don't think I will. I'm still waiting for the possibility of because I bought Luis Diaz on Saturday, and he went up
Mm-hmm.
overnight, and people are saying he'll go up again before the deadline. So I'm
Right.
going to wait for him to go up again and then transfer him out and I make 0.1 on him without ever having had him, which is
Okay.
the kind of perverted joy that only a nerd can have from
Yeah,
fantasy
we can do it
football.
on a wild card, can't you? I could make a suggestion, which would be: do you need to have Ben White and Flecken when you can have Raya and then still have 1.3 million in the bank? Get rid of White, put in Raya, so you wouldn't have to do that because what you're
I
doing there is
prefer no, I prefer Flecken to Raya because Raya's had a lot of games where he's had a lot of make saves, so he's got an inflated points total.
mm,
White will be able to make extra points on top of his clean sheets much more easily than Raya from the game weeks on.
okay.
They played
So
Spurs and Man City, so he's been making lots of saves.
all right, it's just it's 1.4 million, but you're not short of money
No,
to
I
start.
think Ben White will start getting hauls now and again. I think he'll be getting assists and goals.
All right. Uh, yeah, Greaves 4 million. So he's your cheapo. Dibling's
Yeah,
your cheap.
he's all right. He gets up for headers from set pieces.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. Looks pretty standard, except there is that glaring hole of no Haaland, no Luis Diaz, no Salah, no Son.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You worried about
I'm not worried about any of them except Haaland, really, because of how captained he'll be.
that? Mm.
Um, Salah, I'm not so worried about because he won't be as captained.
Yeah, exactly. That's my reason for thinking shifting him out too. And Bournemouth's an interesting choice too. I think it offers really good value for money.
Great fixtures.
Great fixtures. Yeah, looks pretty good. The thing is, when you make a wild card and you leave 1.8 million in the bank, it's usually a sign that there's something not quite right.
Yeah, no, I mean to change one, possibly Mikolenko, possibly Smith Rowe.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I might get Eze instead of Smith Rowe, which I can afford to do, for
Mm-hmm.
example. That's also more interesting for me than Smith Rowe. I love Eze. I think I'd love to have him, so I think I can afford him, right? I can afford Eze.
You could actually take Mikalenko out and put a City defender in there because it's sort of set and forget then
6.9. Yeah, I can afford Eze on that. So
instead of
yeah,
Rowe.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's that. Um, all right. And
It
what
doesn't put the shits up me. It's okay.
I mean, I don't think it's going to put the shits up everyone, to be honest. They're going to look at it and go, they'll be rubbing their hands, you know. Um, so you're
If you
some
just if
one
you're just
thing.
calling me up just to put the shits up me with your wild
That's
card
the
side,
only reason. It's just
I will sleep soundly tonight. That's all right. Don't worry.
um. So one thing that I love about you is the way that you will sometimes we'll get in a conversation about fantasy football and you'll go, "Did you see so and so's team?" And I'll look at whoever you're talking about, and they're like way down the mini league. Like you're looking at players, every player in the league, and
Mm,
checking out what they're doing and sort of
yeah,
finding it interesting. I mean,
yeah, I do. I noticed last week that Jake Wadsley had Tyler Dibling in. He was the first one
yeah,
to have it, and I thought it was a good pick. He came in with I think a double Did he get double digit? Oh, I think he did. And I like that. I like to see people picking alternative players. You know, I know it's difficult. If you want to really win it, you kind of there's a basic template, but I do appreciate people taking a different view.
Okay, I'm gonna give you. We got 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna give you
I just will say
quick.
this point: I love Keith Harper's teams
Well,
always. I always
well,
his teams.
I was just gonna lead into that. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna give you quick fire questions. You just
Mm.
give me an answer. Okay, favorite Premier League team can't be Southampton.
Um, they enjoy watching.
Only allowed one.
Nobody. Sorry, just Southampton.
Okay.
It's a trick
Um,
question, isn't
no. Favorite player to watch in the Premier League?
it? Tyler Dibbling.
It can't be a Saints player.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know any other players.
Oh,
I like
okay.
Eze. I like Eze,
Okay.
and
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, favorite
nobody
other overpaid over the bar player?
favorite player.
Yeah. Who would you most like to win if it's not you this season?
For me, it's always Keith Harper. I've never met the guy. I don't know anything about him, but I've watched his fantasy football team for the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 seasons. I don't know. And I actually, the first thing I do when it's all cleared up and the game week starts, I click straight on his team. I don't know why. I'm just a real sad fan of his sides.
Okay, next question. Best football match you've ever attended live?
Um, Best game I've ever seen. Really can't think of one. I've seen different great games for different reasons. But when I was a little kid, I did see Southampton versus SV Hamburg in about 82, 83.
Oh, with Keegan
When
at Hamburg, or had he already left?
yeah, it's just as Keaton goes from Hamburg to Southampton,
So
and
who was he playing for?
I think it was for Southampton. I was about
Oh, okay.
8.
Yeah, he
Uh,
he joined Southampton from Hamburg in
that's right, he did. That's the Southampton team with the 5 England captains in it.
name the England captains. Let me name the England captains. You have to help me.
It's 5 England captains in one
In
Southampton
one,
team.
yeah, it's a famous quiz question. It was that big central defender. Was it Watson?
Yeah, Dave Watson.
Uh, then you had Keegan, obviously.
Yeah.
Shannon.
Yep.
That's three. Was Alan Ball there? No.
Alan Ball.
Is he still playing then? Wow. How
Yeah.
long did he play for? It's amazing. He managed us as well. Was much loved as an Exeter manager. Beat Plymouth home and away when he managed us. Um, who else? One more. You're gonna have to help me, I think.
Peter Shilton.
Ah, of course. He managed Argyle when
Yes, I was
Alan
going to
Ball
say that.
managed us and we did the double over them. It was fantastic. And now he's turned out to be a right frat, which is even better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I went with my dad. It was a Tuesday UEFA night, UEFA Cup game.
Wow.
And it was 1-0 Hamburg. And I didn't think it was very good because as an 8 or 9-year-old, you want to see lots of goals. That's what you think
Yeah,
is good for.
yeah.
These Germans come in with this amazing sort of, they came as the away side. They only, I think they needed the draw or a 1-0 win. They won the first leg 1-0. They shut up shop. They played a sweeper as well, which I don't think I'd seen as a kid before. It was this
I don't think I would
very,
have noticed that as a kid. You noticed they played a sweeper.
I didn't really notice any of it. But then as we were leaving the ground, Saints either lost or drawn. I'd have to go back and see it. And my dad said to me, he said, in all the years he'd been watching football, that was the best performance he'd ever seen from a football team. And I was sort of like, I didn't really get that because you just, it needs to be a 4-all humdinger to be a great
Yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
since then, I've seen some video clips of that Hamburg team because they're actually European champions around that sort of time as well, weren't they?
Yes.
And they played this, they kept the ball. I don't think we'd ever really seen, I don't think my dad had ever seen a team keep the ball for 20 minutes, sort of thing. They usually just sort of hoof it up, chase it through the channels. And they didn't. They played percentage football. And he walked out, he said, let's blow me away. And it was a bit of an education for me that, they went there, they knew exactly what they were going to do. They nicked a goal, whatever they'd do, and they just shut up and they just didn't they just ran around trying to chase the ball for an hour.
Actually, the amazing thing about the late 70s, early 80s, is that English football generally was hoof it, big tackles,
Mm.
get the crosses, But the
Yeah.
teams, Liverpool and Forest, actually had a style of football that was well ahead of their time.
Yeah, we did.
Forest used to just play the ball on the ground. They were quite boring because they would just play the ball along the ground
Sure.
and not give the ball away.
Hmm.
And evidently Brian Clough's team talks, well, one of them was just coming to the dressing room, go,
Yeah.
you see this? Don't
Yeah.
give it away. Like
Right.
that was his
Get
like,
out there, young man. Go on, fuck off a
yeah,
lot of you.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah. It makes.
Liverpool did the pressing. If you watched late 70s, early 80s Liverpool, they were pressing all over the pitch.
Yeah.
They never let the other team rest, you know. And they tended to mix up the long ball with the short ball and along the ground with high. But they were very much a football team. All the other English teams were absolutely rubbish at that time. And in the 80s, it got worse. But yeah,
So I'm not sure it was the greatest game I've ever seen, but I do remember somebody saying, as we left that ground, that's the best football I've ever seen in my life. And it was actually my dad saying it in 1982 or three to a 9-year-old kid who was a little bit disappointed.
that's a nice
Uh,
memory.
yeah, I guess so. I guess that's one of the reasons I was mentioned earlier. I take my girl to football because I think I liked football as a young man, and it brought me a lot of joy. And I guess it was time to spend with the old man. Just the two of us together, and I like that. I take her on the bus as well because I just think then she only goes for the popcorn and the hot dog, and that's fine. But it's just a couple of hours that we can spend together, and the results really not so important.
That's really
Uh,
nice.
yeah. What was the question again? Best games ever seen?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That used to give United a bit of a hammering in the 90s. They were good times. My greatest ever play would be Letizia, I imagine, as all Southampton fans would probably say of my age. Yeah, good. But in general, it's been a painful experience, miserable.
Okay. And Southampton, you have absolutely zero hope that they will stay up this season. Is that right?
Well, there's so much dog shit down there that we could stay up with 7 points.
Is
So
there though?
really, yeah, I mean, Wolves look pretty dreadful. Ipswich and Leicester don't look great. You don't really need a lot of points.
But
You just need to have
apart
more.
from those teams, Wolves, Leicester, Ipswich, Everton,
Mhm.
I can't see any other team going down. Not
No, exactly. Who do I think will stay up? Well, now Everton have been taken over, possibly there might be some money pumped into them over in January, but nothing can be done until then. They're big enough to stay up, but they are circling the drain. Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester to go down. Probably, I mean, last year the three that went up went down again, so we could be looking at something like that. It won't be far away from
I don't
those.
want it to be like that though, but it just looks to
Yeah,
me now like I think Ipswich have looked promising. I just I think it's going to need to take somebody to have a real crisis from the teams above them for them to stay up
yeah.
though, and I just don't see that happening at the moment.
I don't think there are many shocks, but I also think that the points needed to stay up this season could be incredibly low. You might be talking about 20 points to stay up at this rate.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
So if you get 21, you stay up. Do you know what I mean? That's the aim, isn't it?
All right. Well, John, thank you so much for joining
Well,
me today. It's been a real fun to do the first one, and I hope
sure.
to do other ones where we get more than two people actually talking. We even do a group one later on where a few of us are talking together.
Mm.
But I think this would be really interesting for people to see you and talking about
Um,
your team and your life. So your
sure.
teams.
I will just say as you go at the end, good luck to everybody this season. And always says, just enjoy it. None of it's important. No one remembers any of it. And it's a great way just to follow the Premier League, really. I don't think a lot of people, when I've got no dog in the fight, I don't really want to watch, necessarily Crystal Palace versus West Ham. But if you've got Eze and Bowen, then those games sort of take on something a bit more interesting. So that's one of the best things about fantasy football. And I was going to quit. I always threatened to quit, but I enjoy the game so much more when I have, players involved and things like that. So it's a great thing. Also, they always say this, but when you have a bad week, it's okay. Go away, do something else.
Yeah, and if it was a good pick before the match, it doesn't become a bad pick after the game, right?
Right. That's true.
Because
Yeah.
often you find the next week they return again, and you've
Yeah.
sold them because they pissed you off the week before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. Knee
everyone's
jerk.
selling Isaac and Gordon now.
Right.
I'm selling Isaac and Gordon now.
Right.
It's like,
They're
no,
both. They're both going to break.
absolutely. they're going to
Yeah.
fucking start scoring goals next week or the week after because they're
Sure.
good picks and they're good
Yeah.
prices too. Both of them are good prices, you know.
Well, actually, I will actually add this finally. I think the pricing's been really good this season. I enjoyed the
It's
price.
really good.
I find it's all right. It's challenging, but you know, you can get a couple of big players in there, but you can't overdo it. No one's wildly 3 million, you know, overpriced or underpriced. And I think it's
It's
pretty
so
level.
much better than last season.
Oh
I bet
yeah,
Cole
yeah.
Cole Palmer ruined it last season.
It was about 5.5 at the
Yeah,
beginning
he
of that.
just